Manga-Waido.
My name is Hiroto Kishimune. I have 2 older brothers. My mother is a great person, but she isn't very fussy with the details. For example, even if my sock had a hole in it, she would say, "No worries, you can still wear it." And so I was forced to keep on wearing it. Also, even if my t-shirt was worn out from having been washed so many times, she would say, "It's totally fine," and I would have to keep on wearing it. Maybe because I grew up in that kind of household, I take after my mother. I'm not so fussy with the details either. I also had friends around me who were similar to me. "Didn't the teacher say that we have a test tomorrow?" "Really? Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. How about going fishing?" "Nice! Let's drop off our stuff at home and we'll meet up right afterwards." "Okay." I wasn't exactly smart, but as a child, I was full of energy. My parents didn't lecture me much about school, so I never thought much about my grades or what my teachers thought of me. But when I entered junior high, things started to change. There was a super serious student in my class, and he started telling me off because I wasn't super serious like he was. His name was Takashi Kubo. "Hey, you two! What happened to that assignment that's due tomorrow? You guys haven't turned it in yet, have you?" "Oops! I forgot to get my mom to sign that." "Me too! Sorry, Takashi! I'll bring it tomorrow." "You guys missed the deadline before, didn't you? I'm going to visit your homes to make sure that you are really bringing those papers tomorrow." "What? You don't need to do that." "We're planning to go to the mountains to make our secret hideout today." "No, you can't. I have an obligation to see to it that you put those papers into your bags because I am the class representative." "Oh, come on, give us a break." Takashi actually tried to come with us, so we told him that if we forget to bring those papers tomorrow, we will go back home to fetch the papers, we promise. We had to tell him over and over until he finally gave up the idea of coming home with us. Jeez, I can't handle Takashi. He's way too serious. "Yeah, really? I had enough of him." We weren't Takashi's only targets. Whenever he found people who were joking around or stepped out of line, he would tell them off. If someone tried to disagree with him, "I recorded our conversation on this IC recorder just now. We can ask our teacher to judge who is right, you or me." Because of that, nobody dared to talk back to Takashi. After that, "We have a choir competition coming up. You need to stay after school for our practice. Don't disturb the class order. Don't neglect your club activities just because you're anemic. If you're gonna bring trouble to your club, then you should quit it." Because Takashi spoke in such a harsh manner, the number of students who spoke behind Takashi's back began to increase. For example,
"I don't want to come to school. When I think that Takashi will tell me off or something."
Students like that began to appear. "Next is our sports tournament. Our aim will be to win all the games. Practice makes perfect. Everyone must stay after school for practice." Hey, I think you're doing a bit too much. People have their own lives, so you can't just force things on people. "What? Our teacher also said I was doing the right thing because I am doing what I think is good for our class." It seems like our teacher likes you because you're a serious student, but we can't all be like you. Give us a break. "Shut up! I don't want to be lazy like all of you. In the coming sports tournament, we are going to win all the games. Practice if you understand me." Winning all the games was impossible to begin with, and so we placed third. It seemed like Takashi was unhappy about this. Takashi shouted at a girl who made a mistake in one of the games by saying, "It was because of you that we lost." That girl got scared of Takashi, and from the next day, when she came to school, she headed straight to the nurse's office instead of to our classroom. Our class atmosphere became terrible. Our teacher only listened to Takashi, who had the best grades, and ignored all the other students' opinions. All his classmates did their best to work around Takashi's demands and to somehow get through the school year. But in the end, our junior high school years were filled with terrible memories. Fortunately, I did not have to meet anyone like Takashi in my high school or in university. At last, I was able to enjoy my student life. Then, I graduated and began working. I'd completely forgotten about Takashi. But then one day, oh no! I met Takashi again. When I was invited to the class reunion party, Takashi was also there. I became a policeman! Oh, really? I regretted that I sat next to him by mistake. Takashi became drunk and put his shoulders on mine. I couldn't escape him, so I pretended to enjoy his company. I am a good policeman. If you do something wrong, I will come find you right away, so be aware. I'll make sure to not let that happen. Huh? Is that your car key? Yeah, that's right. You drove here, but you're drinking? What do you think you're doing? You plan on drinking and driving? I told you that I'm a policeman. I can't pretend to not have seen that. No. I plan to ask my wife to pick me up. She works in a building over there, so we plan to go back home together. You think I believe such a lie? I'll be watching you to make sure that you don't drive. I kept on moving around as much as possible, but Takashi kept his watch on me the whole time. Class reunion party was a disaster for me. I felt really uncomfortable being stared at the whole time.
That person. Who was he?
He used to be a classmate of mine. He's a bit wacko. He thinks he needs to bring justice to everything. He was watching me the whole time to make sure that I don't drink and drive. I never want to see his face again. I thought from the bottom of my heart that I never want to see him again. But fate is ironic. Turns out that Takashi was working as a policeman in my neighborhood. I saw Takashi every now and then after work or on the weekends. He'd be cycling around the neighborhood. It was as though he were watching my every move. I don't know why I had to put up with this. A few weeks later, I understood why. When I complained to a friend of mine who was also at the class reunion that I find it annoying that I see Takashi often, he told me this. You know how you got angry with Takashi during junior high? You told him, it's fine to be serious, but there is such a thing as moderation. Apparently, his ex-girlfriend told him the same thing when she broke up with him. He got so annoyed with you because you said the same thing to him. After you left the other night, he was complaining about that while drinking. Seriously? That is totally his problem, not mine. I found all of this idiotic. From then on, I changed my train times, took different routes back home, and took care not to have to come in contact with Takashi. My efforts were not in vain. I was able to spend the next few months in peace. But then came the accident.
Honey, I think my labor pains have started.
What? Okay, I'll get the car ready now. I immediately got in the driver's seat. With my wife in the back seat, we were on our way to the clinic. Stop! I heard a loud voice. A policeman on his bicycle came up next to me while I was waiting for the traffic light to turn green. Takashi? You in the back! You aren't wearing a seatbelt, are you? I saw you! This is a crime! You need to pay the fine! Hey, listen, we're in a hurry now. My wife is having her labor pains and she can't wear a seatbelt. You can see that for yourself. Shut up! I've been watching you because I thought you would break the rules someday. I was right. Get out of the car! Oh, come on! We're in a hurry! I tried to drive away, but he was holding onto the car so that it would not move. Should I get out of the car and force Takashi off my car so that I could drive away? My wife was in pain while I desperately tried to find a way out of the situation. Then something happened. A scary-looking policeman came up behind Takashi. What's going on? Anything wrong? Yes! This woman was not wearing her seatbelt, so I warned them just now. No, you see, I was telling this policeman here my wife is pregnant and her labor pains have started. What? She could barely keep herself in a sitting position. Please, let us go. No! You are under arrest for violating traffic regulations. I was about to tell him to mind his own business, but just then... You! What the hell do you think you're saying? Oh no. Is this guy also a wacko? Don't you know that there are circumstances in which a person cannot wear a seatbelt? Then he or she does not have the obligation to wear it? Her situation exempts her from having to wear it. But don't you even know that? Enough! Get out of their way! This is an order! Ah! Takashi was so scared by his superior, they looked like he was gonna wet his pants. I am so sorry for detaining you. Please go ahead. Safe driving. Yes. Thank you very much. Kubo, you are not fit to be a policeman if you cannot be flexible in emergency situations. Be aware. I am very sorry, sir. I wanted to tell him a thing or two, but I pressed on the accelerator and headed to the hospital. After that, my wife gave birth to a beautiful girl. My parents, my wife's parents, and I were all crying from this incredible moment. With my daughter's birth and the chaos that followed it, I had forgotten about Takashi. But then... Hello! We're sorry to disturb you so suddenly. Oh, hello! You're the policeman from that time. I didn't recognize you because you're not wearing your uniform. And why is Takashi here? 2 policemen in their plain clothes came by. It was Takashi and his superior from that time. Apparently, Takashi regretted what he had done after being lectured by his superior and had come to pay us an apology. It didn't look like he was feeling sorry for what he'd done. Probably he had to act in this way in front of his boss. He apologized to me in a grudging manner. I apologize for what had happened. I will make sure to instruct him well, so please forgive him. My daughter's birth went well, and I don't have any hardships about the incident, so please don't worry about it. Takashi, from now on, don't force your sense of justice onto others, all right? Who are you to talk? Hey, Kumo! I thought you were sorry for what you had done! Yes, I'm sorry. I'll be careful from now on. I thought that Takashi would amend his ways from now on. Surprisingly, Takashi quit being a policeman right after this. A former classmate of mine told me this. Apparently, when Takashi's boss saw that Takashi was looking down on me, he lectured Takashi and he lost his sense of pride completely. On top of that, he had to go apologize to a civilian for having been too strict with them, was the rumor that went around at his work. Takashi couldn't stand that rumor and quit his job. He worked at a convenience store and did some security guard work. He got fired right away. I hear he's now completely shut up in his house. Oh, really? His parents must be having a hard time. Actually, his parents apparently had enough of Takashi and moved out of the house. So now, he's living on his own and not going out of the house. Seriously? Well, serves him right. I don't know what happened to Takashi after that. But when I happened to walk past Takashi's house, the house was no longer standing there, and the land was up for sale. I guess he might have moved to a different place. I didn't like him much at all, but since he was a former classmate of mine, I hope that he is doing well somewhere out there. I'll continue on with my life with Takashi as an example of how not to live. I'll be modest, work hard, and protect my family. I'll be a good father to my cute daughter. I'll give it my best.